Hello everyone. So friends, in this lecture we will discuss that how we can check that a given string is a palindrome or not. So friends, what is a palindrome string? So a palindrome string is a string when we do reverse of it and compare it with the original string, they both are same. So for example, let's say we are given a string madam. So if we read this string in forward direction, we get M-A-D-A-M, madam. And if we read it from backward, we get M-A-D-A-M, which is the same. So therefore this string is a palindrome string. So let's say we are given a method in which we are passing a string. It should return true if the string is palindrome, or it should return false if the string is not palindrome. So friends, in second example you can see that we are given a string dat. If we read it in forward direction we get T-H-A-T, and if we read it from backward direction we get T-A-H-T. So here you can see that if we reverse dat and if we compare the reverse string with the original string, they are not equal. Therefore this string is not palindrome. So friends, let's see the demonstration of the algorithm step by step. So here you can see that this is the algorithm where we are calling the method is palindrome and we are passing in a string, and if the string is palindrome or not, we are simply returning a boolean value. That if a string is palindrome we return true, and if it is not then we return false. So let's say we call this palindrome method and we pass a string as madam. So by looks of it you can see that madam is a palindrome string, because if we reverse madam and compare it with the original string, they both are equal. So let's see how we can figure it out that whether madam is a palindrome or not. So string word will hold the value as madam. So friend, in this algorithm what we do, we take two pointers. One we place at the start and other we place at the end, and we just compare these two characters. And if they are same, then we move first pointer ahead and the last pointer backward, and then we compare the second character with the second last character. And if they are equal, then we simply move ahead the first pointer and move backward the last pointer. And similarly we keep on checking the value stored at these two pointers, and if any time these values are not equal, we can come to know that the string is not a palindrome string. So friends, here in order to compare this string character by character, we first convert this string to char array. So in Java, string has this method toChar array which returns a character array. So it would look something like this. The character array will store one character at each index, and it is in form of an array. Moving ahead, so we'll initialize the first pointer, we'll give it a name as start, and it will start from the 0th index. So value of start is 0, and we'll also initialize an end pointer whose value will be word.length -1. So here on a string, if we do word.length, we get the length of the string. So here we'll get the length of the string as 5, because there are 5 characters. And when we do -1, it simply means that this pointer will point to the last index. So end value will be 4. 5 minus 1 will give 4. So friends, we have got our two pointers, and one is at start and other is at end. Now we'll start comparing the character stored at start index and the end index using this while loop. So this while loop will run till start is less than end. So if the start becomes equal to end or more than end, then we know that we have traversed this complete string. So currently you can see that start value is 0 and end value is 4. So therefore the condition in while loop comes out to be true. So friends, we know the palindrome property that if we read the string in forward direction and if we read the string in backward direction, both the strings should be equal. So friend, it means the first character should be equal to the last character, second character should be equal to second last character, and it should go on till we reach a midpoint. And if any of these characters are not equal, then we can come to know that string is not palindrome string. So here we are comparing the character stored at start index and character stored at the end index. So which is these two characters, and we are checking that whether they are equal or not. So if they are not equal, we can straight away return false, that string is not palindrome string. But here if you see m is equal to m, therefore the condition in if block comes out to be false. So we have compared the first and the last character. Now we'll proceed ahead to compare second character with second last character. So for that, what we need to do is we need to increment start and decrement end by 1. So here we'll increment start by 1. So start will become 1, and then we will decrement end by 1. So end becomes 3. We check whether start is less than end or not. So 1 is less than 3. Therefore condition in while block comes out to be true. And here we simply check that whether character stored at start index and character stored at end index are equal or not. So as value of start is 1, it will point to this character, and end is 3, so it will point to this character. So we are simply comparing this character with this, and here we know that these two characters are equal. Therefore the condition in if block comes out to be false. And then we'll simply increment start by 1 and decrement end by 1. So start becomes 2 and end becomes 2. So friends, here you can see start and end will point to index 2, which is D, and this is the only index left now. And if we check whether start is less than end, so here you can see 2 is not less than 2. Therefore condition in while block comes out to be false. And we don't compare this, because even if we compare D with D, we know that those are equal. But as this is the only character left, if we read the string from this point or if we read the string from this point, this character will be at the same position. So therefore we never check for start equal to end. We simply do start should be less than end. So here condition in while block comes out to be false and while loop terminates. And as soon as while loop terminates, if our execution point reaches here, we know that the string is palindrome, because we have compared every character from start to end. So we finally return true. Therefore string madam is a palindrome string. So friend, now let's see whether that is a palindrome string or not. So here we call is palindrome method, providing a string as that. We will convert this string to character array by calling toChar_array method. So it would look something like this. Let's set character array having length as 4, storing each character in each of the index of this array. Moving ahead, we again create two pointers. One starts from the beginning and other starts from the end. So we create two integer variables. Start, we'll give it a value as 0. And we create integer variable end, which points to the last index. And in order to get the last index, we do word.length -1. So word.length is the length of the string, which is 4. If we do -1, we get the third index, which is this. So end becomes 3. Moving ahead, we see whether start is less than end or not. So here you can see 0 is less than 3. So condition in while block comes out to be true. So now we compare the value at start index and the value at end index, which is these two characters, and we check whether they are equal to or not. So if they are not equal, then we can simply return false because string is not palindrome. But here you can see t is equal to t, therefore condition in if block comes out to be false. So now we move start pointer a step ahead and we move end pointer a step backward, and then we'll compare these two characters. So start becomes 1 and end becomes 2. So we check whether start is less than end or not. So here you can see 1 is less than 2. So the condition in while block comes out to be true. And then we'll simply compare the value stored at the start index with end index. So here you can see that h is not equal to a, which means the condition in if block comes out to be true. And we come to know that string is not a palindrome string because this should have been equal to make it a palindrome string. But here h is not equal to a, therefore condition in if block comes out to be true. So finally we return false from this point, that string is not a palindrome string. So friend, in this lecture we saw that how we can check that whether a given string is a palindrome or not. We saw the demonstration of algorithm step by step. Now let's go to Eclipse and see the working of this code. I hope you like this video. Thanks, have a nice day.